The first time my brother said it out loud, it was almost casual, like he was commenting on the weather. We were standing in our mother's empty living room, the curtains still smelling faintly of her lavender detergent, and he looked at me and said, "I know you took the money." The words landed heavier than any shout. I remember my chest tightening, not because I was afraid, but because something fragile between us cracked beyond repair in that moment. Our mother had been gone for 3 months. 3 months of paperwork, condolences, and silence were her voice. Used to be, the inheritance wasn't extravagant, but it mattered. It was the last thing she left behind. The final proof that her years of careful saving hadn't been for nothing. My brother handled most of the logistics. He always liked being in control, liked reminding people he was the older one. I trusted him. I didn't think twice when he said he'd take care of it at first. His accusations came wrapped in concern. He asked strange questions about my finances, about whether I paid off my car loan, whether I'd taken any big trips recently. I brushed it off, thinking grief was making him anxious. But then the tone shifted. One night, he called me drunk and bitter, his voice slurring as he said, "Don't play dumb. Mom's account didn't drain itself." I cried after that call, not because I felt guilty, but because I felt erased, as if years of being the responsible sister, the one who stayed close to home, meant nothing. At the family meeting he insisted on hosting. He didn't yell. He didn't need to. He simply told everyone that there were irregularities and that I had access. Eyes turned toward me, curious, doubtful. No one defended me outright. Silence can be louder than accusation. What my brother didn't know was that I had learned something from our mother that he never did. Keep records, even when you trust people. Years ago, she'd shown me how she organized her finances, every transfer logged, every receipt filed. After she passed, I quietly requested copies of the bank statements. I didn't tell anyone. I just watched, listened, and waited. The more he talked, the bolder he became. He sent messages hinting that he might take legal steps if I didn't confess. Confess to what? I wondered, sitting alone in my apartment at night, staring at the ceiling. I replayed childhood memories, searching for signs I'd missed. Moments when jealousy hid behind brotherly concern. I realized this wasn't about money anymore. It was about control, and about rewriting a story where he was the wronged one. The folder sat on my desk for weeks, a plain, blue folder, nothing dramatic. Inside were printed bank transfers, timestamps, account numbers, and notes I'd carefully written in the margins. I waited until the next family gathering, when everyone would be present, not because I wanted to humiliate him, but because I wanted the truth to stand on its own without whispers. When the moment came, my hands were steady. I asked him calmly to explain the missing funds one more time. He launched into his rehearsed speech, confident, convincing. He spoke about my opportunity and my motives, about how sad it was to see greed tear families apart. I let him finish, then I opened the folder. I didn't speak right away. I slid the papers across the table, one by one. Transfers from our mother's account to a secondary account opened just weeks before her death. His name on the documents, his signature, his digital footprint. The room changed. You can feel truth when it arrives. It is weight. His voice faltered as he tried to explain. But explanations collapse when facts are patient. He looked at me. Then, really looked at me, and for the first time, he was afraid. Not of me, but of exposure. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult him. I simply said, I wanted to understand before I spoke. That was enough. People began asking questions, hard ones. The kind he'd avoided by pointing at me. After that day, things didn't magically heal. Trust doesn't snap back into place. But something shifted. The narrative he tried to build dissolved, and with it, his authority. He later admitted, privately, that he planned to borrow the money and put it back, as if intent could erase action. I told him I wasn't interested in revenge. I was interested in boundaries. The quiet justice came weeks later, when the estate lawyer adjusted the distribution and documented everything. No shouting, no courtroom drama, just correction. My brother stopped calling. I stopped explaining myself. Sometimes, late at night, I still feel the ache of losing him in a different way than losing our mother. But I also feel something steadier. Now, I learned that truth doesn't need to rush, it waits. And when you open the right folder at the right time, it speaks for itself. If you want to hear more stories like this, stay close. There's always another truth waiting.